हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. सो वी वेलकम एवरीवन. थोड़ा देर से आप लोग कीर्तन कर रहे हैं, तो हम लोग जय राधा माधव गाएंगे और फिर थोड़ा सा कुछ चर्चा करेंगे. फिर भगवान का आरती होगा, गौर आरती, एंड देन वी कैन महाप्रसाद. जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवर धारी, जय गोपी जनवल्लभ गिरिवर धारी, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, यमुना तीरा वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद, जय श्री कृष्ण प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol. हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय गुरुदेव। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य सोदर शशि श्रीमद डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन बीबीडी फाउंडेशन श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन गुरु वृंद की जय। श्री गुरु परंपरा की जय। श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। निताय गो प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। तो वी वेलकम एवरीवन, सभी का स्वागत करते हैं। प्रभु जी, आपका शुभ नाम? आपको पहली बार देखा हमने। योर गुड नेम? रायन। ओके, वेयर आर यू फ्रॉम? आई एम सीइंग यू फॉर द फर्स्ट। अच्छा, ओके, वेरी नाइस। आई एम सीइंग यू फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम, सर। Oh, you studied together. Okay, very nice. You came from the spiritual world together. We are all together because we are Krishna's part and parcel. Okay. So, what should we do? I'm seeing some books and paper and pen and okay. There's something, एक subject matter है. Why we said we will have a seminar on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita इसलिए, Chaitanya is Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Charitra of Krishna is of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pastimes of Krishna and teachings. Amrita means the essence of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. तो जस्ट लाइक चैतन्य महाप्रभु, जिस प्रकार से चैतन्य महाप्रभु भगवत्ता का सार है, स्पिरिचुअलिटी का एसेंस है, तो इसी प्रकार से चैतन्य महाप्रभु का जो भक्ति की प्रस्तुति है वो एसेंस है हमारे वैदिक ट्रेडिशन और लिटरेचर। तो इसकी शुरुआत हम लोग करते हैं। अभी हाल ही में वीर कृष्ण महाराज आए थे और चैतन्य महाप्रभु के डिवोटी हैं महाप्रभु दास। महाप्रभु ने क्वेश्चन किया था, व्हाट डज सक्सेस लुक लाइक। तो मैंने सोचा कि हम लोग का थीम हो सकता है, व्हाट डज डिवोशनल और डिवोटी सक्सेस लुक लाइक इन कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस। कि कृष्ण भावनामृत में भक्ति की सफलता या भक्त का सफलता कैसे दिखाईमान होता है, हाउ डज इट लुक लाइक। जैसे एक व्यक्ति घर बना रहा होता है तो आर्किटेक्ट उसका घर का प्लान बनाता है, तो यू गेट अ क्लू हाउ इट लुक लाइक। उसको और भली भांति जानना हो तो उसके लिए क्या करते हैं, 3D मॉडल बनवाते हैं। तो 3D मॉडल का लॉन्च करते हैं, तो एवरीवन नोज ओके दिस इज द काइंड ऑफ कॉम्प्लेक्स और प्रोजेक्ट इट विल लुक लाइक, दिस इज हाउ इट विल लुक लाइक। सो सिमिलरली डिवोशनल सर्विस जो है, हम लोग को थोड़ा से भेद समझना होगा। जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, नॉट एवरीथिंग दैट ग्लिटर्स इज गोल्ड। तो आज मैं सोचा कि आज हम लोग समझने का कोशिश करें थोड़ा से। सबसे पहले हम लोग भक्ति करते हैं तो हम लोग अपने आप को भक्त संबोधन करते हैं। तो श्रील प्रभुपाद जी का एक कॉम्पेडियन ऑफ वर्सेस है, वैष्णव वर्स बुक। इसमें एक सब्जेक्ट मैटर है, डिवोटीज को डिस्क्राइब करते हैं। तो यहाँ पे डिस्क्राइब करते हैं डिवोटीज क्वालिटीज, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स, स्पिरिचुअल विजन एंड ट्रांसेंडेंटल पोजीशन। भक्त मतलब केवल तिलक, कंठी, धोती, जपमाला, ये नहीं। जब भक्त की चर्चा होती है तो हम लोग क्या भक्त की चर्चा करते हैं? गुण, लक्षण। गुण और लक्षण में डिफरेंस है। क्या गुण में हम लोग है? कितने गुण हैं? 3। कितना गुण है? 4। 3 संसारिक गुण है और एक आध्यात्मिक स्पिरिचुअल गुण है। कौन कौन से गुण हैं? सभी को जानना चाहिए। तमोगुण, रजोगुण, सत्वगुण और शुद्ध सत्व गुण, शुद्ध सात्विक गुण। ये सभी को समझना चाहिए, क्योंकि एवरी टाइम, हर समय एक व्यक्ति ये चारों गुणों में से एक गुण में स्थित होता है या मिश्रित अवस्था में स्थित होता है। तो डोंट यूज दिस बैरोमीटर टू मेजर समवन एल्स। हम लोग डिस्क्राइब कर रहे हैं तो हम लोग किसी और को मेजर नहीं कर। आई डोंट वांट टू नो आर्यमणि कौन से गुण में है, आई डोंट वांट टू नो सीमा प्रभु कौन से गुण में है। आई वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड द गुण सो दैट आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड इन विच गुण आई एम। तो तमोगुण, रजोगुण, सत्वगुण और शुद्ध सत्वगुण, ये कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस है। क्यों इसको कृष्ण कॉन्शियसनेस कहते हैं? यू शुड ऑलवेज बी अवेयर विच मोड्स ऑफ द नेचर यू आर इन। तो जिस भी प्रकार के गुण में रहोगे उससे क्या होगा? वैसा कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हमारा एग्जिबिट होगा। जैसा गुण में रहोगे वैसा कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हमारा अपीया होगा। और जैसा हमारा गुण और जैसा हमारा कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स होगा उसी प्रकार का हमारा दृष्टांत होगा। दैट इज द वे वी गोइंग टू सी एवरीथिंग। जब मैं ही दूषित अवस्था में हूं तो मुझे सभी में दोष दिखाई देगा कि नहीं? जब हम लोग कंडीशन अवस्था में रहेंगे तो ये चश्मा मैं पहरा हुआ, आप नहीं पहरे। मुझे आप चश्मा निकालने से मुझे आप सब धूमिल दिख रहे हैं। क्या आप लोग सब धूमिल हैं? इट इज अ डिफेक्ट ऑफ माई आईज। तो हमारा जैसा गुण होगा, जैसा हमारा लक्षण होगा, तो उसी प्रकार से हमारा दृष्टांत होगा। हम उसी प्रकार से देखेंगे। और जैसा हमारा दृष्टांत होगा वैसा हमारा आध्यात्मिक पद्धति होगा। ट्रांसेंडेंटल पोजीशन भी हमारा वैसा ही है। समझ में आ रहा है सबको? तो भक्त बनने का मतलब नहीं है केवल एक्सटर्नल्स। एक्सटर्नल्स के अवस्था क्या है? एक्सटर्नल्स की अवस्था क्या है? वी आर सो मेनी, ऑल ऑफ अस प्रेजेंट हियर आर स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट, डिवोटीज हैं हम लोग। जो भक्त लोग नहीं आए हैं वो भी डिवोटीज है। जो हमारे संस्था से जुड़े हुए हैं वो भी डिवोटीज है। जो गुरु महाराज से दीक्षित है वो भी डिवोटीज है। तो इसको अगर नैरो डाउन करें, चलो हम लोग बोलेंगे जितने लोग हमारे संस्था के सदस्य हैं वो डिवोटीज हैं। लेकिन अब इसके आधार पे गुण, लक्षण, दृष्टांत और आध्यात्मिक पद्धति के आधार पर हम लोग को निर्णय करना होगा कि मैं किस प्रकार का डिवोटी हूं। कैसे प्रकार के डिवोटीज होते हैं, कैसे प्रकार के लोग होते हैं, क्योंकि टिकटॉक में आता ना कैसे कैसे लोग हे प्रभु, हे हरि नाम, कैसे कैसे लोग हैं। तो कैसे कैसे भक्त हैं। सबसे पहले स्तर के भक्त कैसे होते हैं, मैं यहां पर कनिष्ठ, मध्यम और उत्तम अधिकारी डिवोटीज का बात नहीं कर रहा, ये अलग समय में आएगा। अभी तो आध्यात्मिकता में सबसे पहले हम लोग क्या है, सबसे पहले स्तर के भक्तों को कहा जाता है सोशल डिवोटीज। सोशल डिवोटीज का मतलब क्या है? कौन कौन लोग यूनिवर्सिटी पढ़े हैं, पढ़ते हैं? यूनिवर्सिटी में सोशल्स होता है, क्या होता है? जस्ट अ गेट टुगेदर टू स्पेंड सम टाइम टुगेदर, टू एंजॉय, इसी को सोशल्स कहते हैं। तो आध्यात्मिकता में भी देर आर सोशल डिवोटीज। हम लोग के वास्ते कृष्ण भावनामृत क्या है? सोशल। लेट्स गो पार्टी, वो क्या बोलते हैं, कीर्तन पार्टी, क्या मुझे तो आता भी नहीं, यूथ लोग को पता होना चाहिए। एनीबॉडी? नो वन नो? फाइंड आउट। नहीं जानता का मतलब हम लोग सोशल पे भी। तो सोशल मतलब कि वी वुड लाइक टू क्रिएट एन अफिलिएशन टू अ स्पिरिचुअल organization or to a spiritual society. We want to create an affiliation. आप इस मंडली के सदस्य हैं, इस मंदिर के सदस्य हैं, इस ग्रुप का सदस्य है, इस पंथ का सदस्य है. This is very much on social level. We identify ourselves. जितने लोग ऐसे वैष्णव तिलक लगाए तो हरि बोल लोग हैं, जो कंठी माला पहरे हैं हरि बोल लोग हैं, जो धोती पहरा है वो हरि बोल लोग. दिस इज वेरी मच सोशल. ये सोशल आइडेंटिटी केवल क्रिएट कर लिया है. हम लोग स्कूल में सीखे थे ना, हाई स्कूल प्राइमरी स्कूल में ऑरेटरी होता था, डिबेट्स होता था. तो मतलब क्या हम लोग की आइडेंटिटी क्या है? आवर कल्चर इज आवर आइडेंटिटी, कल्चरल आइडेंटिटी. मुझे याद है मैं अपने समय में बहुत ऑरेटरी किया ये सब विषयों पर. तो हम लोग के वी कैन बी लाइक social devotees. Then what is the next category of devotees? Some people are social devotees. Then the next category of devotees are emotional devotees. Emotional devotees can उससे पहले आएगा some people are religious devotees. We'd like to follow some religion. Why I want to have some spiritual practice? Because I want to free myself from sins. I want to do some puja. Because we follow some tradition. So therefore whatever the ritualistic ceremonies are in the tradition, we want to follow that. So that's also devotees. Then what is the next category of devotees? So religion means, following it as a religion means you are doing it out of fear. Religion itself means, religio, the Greek word itself means fear. So we do some puja part, some offering, some shrad, all these things we do it out of fear. If we don't do all these things, we'll go to hell. If we don't, do this praschit, we don't do some charity, we don't do all these things. So this is the second category of devotees. So we can be religious devotees. And then, what is the third category of devotees? Third category of devotees is, actually, we can say the third group of devotees are actually spiritualists. Religionists or religious followers may not be spiritualists all the time. There's a difference between spiritualists and people who follow religion. Why am I following certain religion? Because I'm a born Hindu. Hinduism is, you can say, religion. Sanatan Dharma is spirituality. Sanatan Dharma is spirituality. Spirituality means the starting of the understanding of spirit. रिलीजन में स्पिरिट नहीं होता है. रिलीजन में अगर लोग बिल्कुल मान जाए कि हम लोग स्पिरिट हैं. हम लोग देखते हैं कितने लोग रिलीजन भी प्रैक्टिस करते हैं, लेकिन उनका जो रिलीजियस प्रैक्टिस है वो बहुत 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 मटीरियल कनेक्शंस पर डिपेंडेंट है. तो सोशलिस्ट डिवोटीज, सोशल डिवोटीज, religious devotees, they are still, we can say, they are materialistic devotees. They are still in the category of materialistic devotees. They are still in the category of mixed devotion. I am going to worship Krishna, but I have other interest. Why do I need to worship Krishna? Because when somebody passes away, the only hope is in Krishna. So you do that, you follow that religious tradition. So that's all part of religion. So then the next category is spiritualist. In the category of spiritualist, what is the difference between spiritualist and religionist? Spiritualists are looking for the spirit soul. They want to find out who we are, and they want to find out about the Supreme Spirit. They want to find out, understand the Supreme Spirit. So this is the beginning of spiritual search. Now the path of spirituality, then comes the category of those who are looking, who are searching. They are called Jnanis. They are in search of the absolute truth. Then after the Jnanis are the Dhyanis. Then they go in meditation. ज्ञानी पहले पढ़ाई करना शुरू करता है. ये ग्रंथ, वो ग्रंथ, ये पंथ, वो पंथ, सब रिलीजन के बारे में स्टडी करना चाहता है, क्योंकि वो अब सत्य, परम सत्य का खोज कर रहा है. तो ज्ञानी भक्त होता है. फिर उससे ऊपर ध्यान करने वाला होता है. अब जब ज्ञान जिसको हो गया है कि चलो परम पुरुषोत्तम भगवान कोई है, कोई पराशक्ति है, कोई अद्भुत शक्ति है, कोई संसार से परे है, जिसके हम स्तोत्र हैं, तो व्यक्ति क्या करता है, उसको ध्यान लगा के पकड़ना चाहता है. तो ध्यान लगा के पकड़ना चाहता है. और ध्यान लगाने वालों में बताया गया, जो ध्यान लगाते हैं उनको क्या कहते हैं, योगी. तो योगियों से परे कौन है, मद गतेन अंतर आत्मना. भगवान कहते योगी नाम अपि सर्वेशाम. अमंगस्ट ऑल द योगीज, one who is always engaged in Krishna consciousness is the best of the yogis. तो क्या क्या हम लोग, क्या लेवल्स वी went through? Social, religious, spiritualist. Then in the spiritualist category, the subcategory I should have brought the PowerPoint, no? Draw a tree. So then now you have, you have social devotees, you have religious devotees, and then you have spiritualists. Now, spiritualists, we are going to branch out. Spiritualists, we have those who are in search of knowledge. Those who are, actually, the first one Krishna says is, now we are in the realm of spirituality. ठीक है, हम लोग पहले समझ जाओ, हम लोग कृष्ण भावना मठ से जुड़ते हैं आध्यात्मिकता में. We have not become members of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We have not taken initiation. We have not associated or decided to join Srila Prabhupada's society because we want to go to a social place. So that's completely out. We are not a party. Then we are also not religious. We are not chanting Hare Krishna because we are afraid. We are not offering obeisances to Krishna because we are scared. We must understand that. We have come to Krishna. Krishna himself is saying, who comes to Krishna? Chatur vidha bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna artha jigyasur artharthi jnani cha bharatara sabha. Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 verse 16. Verse 16 में भगवान क्या कहते हैं? Oh, best among the Bharatas, 4 kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service. They begin to render devotional service. शुरू से ही डिवोशनल सर्विस है. कौन लोग आते हैं? द डिस्ट्रेस्ड, द डिजायर ऑफ वेल्थ, द इंक्विजिटिव, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute. So here we are saying those who are searching for the knowledge of the absolute, that is the spiritual realm, getting into the spirituality. So when we are into the realm of spirituality, जो लोग परम सत्य को ढूंढ रहे हैं, जो लोग हिमालय में जाके ध्यान लगा रहे हैं, जो योगी बन रहे हैं, उनका पहला दृष्टांत कैसा होता है? How do they start seeing everything? वो देखते किस भांति है? श्रीमद् भागवतम 11th canto chapter 2 verse 45. सर्वभूतेषु या पश्येत् भगवत् भावम् आत्मनः भूतानि भगवती आत्मनि एष भागवतोत्तमः. बताया गया है स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट का विजन कैसा होने लगता है. द एडवांस डिवोटी सीज विद इन एवरीथिंग द सोल ऑफ ऑल सोल्स. हु इज द सोल ऑफ ऑल सोल्स? भगवान. भगवान. हम लोग कब कब भगवान को दूसरे में देख सकते हैं? हम लोग को भगवान कितना दिखाई देता है? जगन्नाथ में भगवान दिखाई देता है. पशु पक्षी पेड़ पालों में भगवान दिखाई देता है. भक्तों में भगवान दिखाई देता है. अभक्तों में भगवान दिखाई देता है. धनवान में भगवान दिखाई देता है. दरिद्र में भगवान दिखाई देता है. दुखिया में भगवान दिखाई देता है. स्त्री पुरुष में भगवान दिखाई देता है. भारतीय अभारतीय में भगवान दिखाई देता है. तो थोड़ा थोड़ा से क्लिक करना चाहिए हमारे सभी के ब्रेन में. व्हाट डज डिवोशनल और डिवोटी सक्सेस लुक्स लाइक? समझ में आ रहा है सभी को? ये प्रोसेस जो हम लोग फॉलो करते हैं भक्ति का या स्पिरिचुअल पाथ का, इट इज मेंट टू, हम लोग क्या बोलते हैं, स्पिरिचुअलिटी क्या करता है? हमको एनलाइटन करता है, एनलाइटन करता है। एनलाइटनमेंट का मतलब क्या होता है? ओम अज्ञान तिमिरंधस्य ज्ञानांजन शलाकया। Until and unless you can see Krishna in everyone, you are blind. जब तक भगवान दूसरे में दिखता नहीं है तब तक तो अंधे ही ना। अंधा व्यक्ति नहीं देख पाता ना, सही बात की नहीं? तो कभी कभी हम लोग को ये गुण, लक्षण, आध्यात्मिक दृष्टांत और आध्यात्मिक पद्धति, इसके बारे में समझना और विचार करना चाहिए। What is our standing? What is our standing? So, if we ask the question, how does success look like? So, success for someone can look like सोशल। जिसका दृष्टांत केवल सोशल तक है, ही इज वेरी हैप्पी। प्रभु जी आप क्या धर्म पालन करते हो? कभी कभी कोई एप्लीकेशन फॉर्म होता है, इसमें डिक्लेयर व्हाट इज योर रिलीजन। आप लोग एक्सपीरियंस किया है कि नहीं? तो जनरली कोई हिंदू लिखता है, लेकिन हमारे डिवोटी सब लाइक करते हैं, लिखो आई एम अ हरे कृष्णा डिवोटी। तो आप लिखेंगे आई एम अ हरे कृष्णा डिवोटी, फिर ब्रैकेट में आपको लिखना पड़ेगा आर यू सोशल, आर यू रिलीजियस, आर यू स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट। अगर हम लोग केवल हरे कृष्णा लिखेंगे तो वी मे बी ओनली सोशल। टिक वन इन द बॉक्स। आजकल लोग सब टिक कर देंगे। तो यहां पे बताया गया है कि sees within everything the soul of the souls, the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna. Consequently का मतलब होता है फलतः, इसके फल स्वरूप, ये करने का फल ये हुआ। तो consequently, if you are a spiritualist and you see Krishna in everyone, then consequently what happens? What is the result? He sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. You actually start seeing everything in relation to the Supreme Lord. Everything is in relation to the Supreme Lord. Everything is in relation to the Supreme Lord. Just like Krishna's flute is in relation to Krishna. Krishna's dress is in relation to Krishna. Krishna's Mahaprasad is in relation to Krishna. So everything that we have mentioned now, it is in relation to Krishna. Because we understand that it is in relation with Krishna, will any of you step on the flute of Krishna? Would any one of you kick the Mahaprasada? Would any one of you pick up the deity's clothes and tear it into pieces? Why? Why? Where's Krishna Balaram? Why? Krishna Balaram always asks me, why? Today we were coming here, then Krishna Balaram asked me on the way, there was a red light. He said to me, why is there traffic light? He controls the traffic. He said, why? Then we had to tell him that everyone drives too fast. So he said, okay. So why? Why would we not step over Krishna's flute? We talked about Krishna's flute and Sriniketan appears. Maybe it's incarnation of Krishna's flute. Or we will not step on Krishna's Mahaprasadam because it is all in relation with Krishna. Why would you not do that? Why would you not do that? Don't do. It will hurt Krishna? Okay. It is? It is? Knowledge of Krishna? Or what else? Anybody else? Because paap lagega? ठीक है. Everyone is giving good answers. Everyone is giving very good answers. We disrespect Krishna. Or Kelvin? Because it is part of Krishna? Okay. Divnesh? Okay.
Come to know that Mahaprasad everything is, is Krishna himself belongs to Krishna.
Okay. So first Indra Prabhu said that what was the first answer you gave? Actually, the first answer you gave, what I wanted, it will hurt Krishna. It will hurt Krishna. So when we are discussing hurt is a emotion. So remember a while ago you said, on the path of Krishna consciousness, then we have emotional devotees. They are thinking of hurt. So emotions matter to you the most. But then, ultimately, that's the answer I was looking for. That actually, everything in relation to Krishna is actually becomes non-different from Krishna. The Mahaprasadam is not different from Krishna because it is in relation with Krishna. So similarly, then Vyatma Prabhu said, because it will be sinful. So that becomes like religious devotee. You're scared because it's sinful. And then Mataji said, it is all knowledge. But in essence, anything in relation with Krishna is non-different from Krishna. Non-different from Krishna. So an advanced devotee sees every living entity in relation with Krishna. Therefore, you deal with everything like you are dealing with Krishna. Like you are dealing with Krishna. So the first thing that we deal with in devotional life or on the path of spirituality are the devotees. Exactly. Who brought you Krishna consciousness? Who talked to you about Krishna? Who showed you the path to Krishna consciousness? Devotees. Maybe it's one of us to one another, or ultimately we go to the supreme devotee, which is in our context, in our times, is none other than Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 550 years ago. Today's, for our generation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is only accessible, Krishna is only accessible because of Srila Prabhupada. So at this point in time, we can again go and refer to our question, what does devotional or devotee success look like? So these are the hints of Krishna consciousness. Or you can say, just like in the sea waters, what are there? There are lighthouses to guide the big ships, the cargo ships, into the port. Otherwise, they can run on the reef or get stuck somewhere, or like the Titanic, hit the iceberg somewhere. So, these are the lighthouses of our spiritual journey. Our spiritual life, it's a journey. Just like all of you have come, all of those who have come from Suva to here, you had a journey. Until you reach your destination, you were cautious of everyone who was flicking lights to say that there's police on the way. Or at Montfort, you came, there were crowds of people on the road, so then you again cautiously driving because you don't want to overdrive on someone. There are various things. You come through the Fijian villages, there is humps. You take care of that. Then, by taking note of all these things, by taking note and dealing with these things accordingly, when there were humps on the road, you slowed down so that you can avoid the jolt of the vehicle jumping. You were cautious of the traffic police so that you don't get booked. If you get booked, what happens? You get a fine. What else? You get delayed to your destination, right? That is the main point. You get delayed to your destination. So similarly, in the path of Krishna consciousness or path of spirituality per se, all these things will delay our destination. Delay us from reaching our destination. And there is no time to delay. There is no time to delay. Just like you have to catch a flight, you have to be on time. On time. What does on time mean? Check in 3 hours before the international flight. And then I think 45 minutes, 1 hour before, 45 minutes. 45 minutes before the counter close. Can you check in after that? Even if you have a valid ticket, can you check in? Sometimes you may have checked in, but the final boarding call happens and you still don't turn up. Can you still board the flight? Then what happens? We have commenced offloading your luggage. That means you miss the flight. You miss the flight. So 2 things we have to be mindful of. One, you must check in during the check-in time. And you must board before the final boarding call is over. Those of us who are 50 years of age already, we have to board the aircraft. The boarding call is started. The others have to check in. We must think like that. Why we need to think like that? Prabhupada said, number one, not Prabhupada only said, number one, the scriptures say, human form of life is the only opportunity to go back home, back to God. It is the only opportunity. In the scriptures there are histories of, some bird eat some prasadam, some dog got liberated by the touch of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and this and that. I am sure, when we become dog, it won't be the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So don't expect to be touched by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the dog yoni. It is now. It is now. The only difficulty we have is we are not taking this life seriously. That is the only thing. And why we are not taking it seriously? Because we don't hear about the seriousness of this life again and again. We need to remind ourselves, we need to be in the association of devotees again and again, to remind ourselves of these subject matters again and again. again and again. Sometimes we may be in the association of devotees, but then we may be social devotees, we may be religious devotees, and we may not be spiritualist devotees. I'm not talking about the Kanishta, the Madhyam, and the Uttam Adhikari devotees. I'm just saying, at our level, we just have to identify which category of devotees are we. Which category of devotees, not are we, which category of devotees am I? Am I associated with Prabhupada as a social identity? Am I associated with Srila Prabhupada as a religion? I'm practicing the rituals. I love the rituals of the spiritual path. Or am I associating with Srila Prabhupada in search of the absolute truth? If you are looking for the absolute truth, then the verse here is saying that one who is looking for the Supreme Personality of Godhead or looking for the absolute truth, like Parikshit Maharaj. Why was his name Parikshit? He was examining everything to find that same personality who he saw in the womb of his mother before he was born. So we must find who is Krishna. What does he do? So that's where comes the first category of devotees, the Kanishta devotees. What is the Kanishta devotees doing? They are worshipping the deities. I'm not saying those who are worshipping the deities are bad people. They're certainly devotees. But what are you trying to search in worshipping the deities? You want to see Krishna in the deities. You're looking for Krishna in the deities. Because you are looking for Krishna in the deities, so you dress the deities, you recite mantras for the deities, you do bhoga offerings for the deities. So first we are trying to find Krishna. Then when we start seeing Krishna, then we actually see that Krishna is not alone. There's Krishna's name. There's Krishna's devotees. There's Krishna's dham. There's Krishna's paraphernalia. So everything is associated with Krishna. Therefore you move to the second category of being in spirituality, which is Madhyam Adhikari. You are able to see Krishna in everything. You are able to see Krishna in everything, but at the same time, you know how to deal with everything. I always give the example, you see Krishna in a lion. You see Krishna in the lion, and then you go, Vancha, Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa, Sindhu Devacha. Then the lion sees Krishna in you, and he goes, Sharira Vidyaja Jodindriyatayaka. We must know how to deal with the lion. But we can see Krishna. We can see Krishna in everyone. I think this is the most that we can get to. This is the most that we can get to. And if we can get to this, you are a liberated personality. We are a liberated personality. Or if I can get to that stage, that means I am a liberated personality. That's the most we can do in this world. Of course, in the complete liberated state, then of course you can be a Uttam Adhikari devotee, like the gopis, like the sakhas, like the sevak of Krishna. But the question that comes, how does the success, devotional or devotee success look like? I think, this is my personal view, my personal opinion, I think the answer to this question, whilst we have seen these verses from Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavad Puran, the real answer to this question lies in you asking yourself, or me asking myself, or we asking ourselves, how much time do we have remaining? How much time do we have remaining? If you understand this aspect, then you can give shape to the answer of what a devotee success should look like. कि भक्ति की सफलता कैसे प्रतीक होता है, या भक्त कैसा प्रतीक होता है, भक्ति कैसा प्रतीक होता है, तब आप उसका जवाब खुद प्राप्त कर लेंगे. When you are thinking, how much more time do I have? परीक्षित महाराज अपना डिवोशनल सक्सेस कैसे देख पाया? How did he see that? How did he determine what was his success? When he realized how much time he had. How much time did he have? 7 days. Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, chapter 1, I think verse 12 or 13. Some verse. Sukadeva Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj the story of King Khatwang. खटवांग ऋषि का, राजा महाराज खटवांग का कथा बताया. How did Maharaj Khatwang become Krishna conscious? How did he become Krishna conscious? Or when did he become Krishna conscious? When he was told that he had only a moment to live. When he was told he only had a moment to live. So the speed of your devotional service, the depth of our devotional service, the potency of our devotional service, the quality of our devotional service, the qualities of a devotee within our own self, it is all dependent on one question that you should ask: how much time do I have? Not everyone will say that I have 1 week to live, I have 1 year to live, I have 1 moment to live. But I am sure all of us can say that in the next 6 months, I have to prepare myself. 6 to 12 months, I want to prepare myself to get the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. After you have taken shelter of your spiritual master, then you can say in the next 12 to 24 to 36 months, I want to begin the study of Srimad Bhagavatam. And therefore the first mantra of Bhagavatam is Gayatri mantra. That means in the next 2 to 3 years time, or 12 months to 24 months to 36 months, I have to prepare myself for Brahmin Diksha. Then you can say, if I read 1 shloka of Bhagavatam every day, then in the next, how many years? 42 years, 45 years, I want to complete the reading of Srimad Bhagavatam. Does that sound like success? That doesn't look like sound like success to you? I think to me it does. Why I am saying it looks like success to me? The point is, I am setting spiritual goals for myself. If there is no spiritual goals for yourself, then how will you figure out the success? You have to have a goal to say that I am successful. Just like, I am educated, so I know in the next 3-4 years, I will move abroad. Then when you move abroad, you say in the next 5 years, I am to buy myself a house. Then in the next 2 years, usually all the single people migrate. They say, I go, I earn a job, I buy a house. Then the next is, in the next 12 months is my time, before I become 35, and to get married. So you set yourself a goal. Because then once you are over 35, you can't find a wife. It will be very difficult. And then you ask yourself, what does success look like? Success looks very old to you now. You can't find a beautiful success. So my point is that, according to today's discussion, or what the subject matter that we want to discuss, and I think this morning's session, Visvanath Prabhu did a very nice presentation on Pitama Bhishma on his deathbed. He's telling his grandchildren. Who are Pitama Bhishma's grandchildren? The 5 Pandavas. The 5 Pandavas, he's telling them, success looks like what? Success is sadhu sang, naam kirtan, mathura vas, murti rasevan, and
reading scriptures.
Bhagavad Shravan. Yes, Bhagavad Shravan is come. Sadhu Sang, Bhagavad Shravan, Naam Sankirtan, Murti Rasevan, Mathura Vas. This is the order. Associate with the devotees, you hear the Bhagavatam, you get the holy name, you worship the deities, and you reside in Mathura. Once you are in association of devotees, you are hearing Bhagavatam from the devotees. Once you are hearing Bhagavatam from the devotees, you start chanting. Once you start chanting, then what happens? Chanting, you are saying, oh Krishna, oh energy of Krishna, please engage me in the service of Krishna. Then comes Murti Rasevan. When you are completely absorbed in serving Krishna, you are living in a holy place. You are completely liberated. You are living in Vaikuntha. Just like in Suba temple, we have a great fortune of living with Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha Mataji is there. Nasori has lost their Vaikuntha Nath. So this is what success. So this is Pitama Bhishma telling his grandchildren before he passes away. He's telling the final instruction. This is what success looks like. I think I'm very, very grateful for Mahaprabhu for asking this question to Maharaj on his reception. That gives us a good meditation, research, thoughtfulness that we should think. Every one of us should think. What does devotional or devotee success look like? सफलता कैसा दिखता है? कोई घर बनाएगा तो जो 3D मॉडल बनाएगा तो उसको इमेजिनेशन हो जाएगा कि घर बनने के बाद में ऐसा दिखना चाहिए. अगर घर बनने के बाद में दीवार में कहीं भी और दरवाजा नहीं है तो आप क्या बोलेंगे? दिस इज नॉट अकॉर्डिंग टू द प्लान. जब अकॉर्डिंग टू द प्लान नहीं होगा, सिटी काउंसिल पास नहीं करेगा. पास नहीं करेगा, यू डोंट हैव परमिशन टू ऑक्यूपाई. प्रॉब्लम है, हम लोग सबको स्पोटा बना लिया है. तो हम लोग अपन डिवोशनल लाइफ के भी स्पोटा बना लिया है. लेट अस नॉट सेटल फॉर दैट. लेट अस नॉट सेटल. प्रभुपाद जी का एक आज्ञा हरदम याद रखो. प्रभुपाद जी बोला, इस जन्म में ही भगवत प्राप्ति करना है. इस जन्म में. एब्सोल्युटली. फीजी में तो हम लोग बोलेंगे नो गारंटी फॉर द नेक्स्ट लाइफ. कोई गंजेड़ी के घर में जन्म हो जाएगा तब है. माला कहाँ जप होगा? मेथाम्फेटामिन इंजेक्ट करके आप पड़े रहोगे. आप सोचोगे मैं समाधि में हूँ. द वर्ल्ड इज डिटोरिएटिंग. कलयुग के प्रभाव से चीज बिगड़ता जा रहा है. अभी ठीक है, अभी डेवलपमेंट हुआ है, स्मार्टफोन्स आ गया तो हम लोग कुछ भी करते हैं तो एटलीस्ट थोड़ा देरी कथा में बैठते हैं, रह के फ़ोन देख लेते हैं, ये कर लेते हैं. व्हाट इज द नेक्स्ट फेज ऑफ डेवलपमेंट? मार्क ज़करबर्ग क्या बोल रहे हैं? एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग टू बी इन द. तो भागवत क्लास में बैठा रहो, प्रचारक सोचे आप कथा सुन रहे हो, लेकिन मैं तो यहाँ पे कुछ और देख रहा हूँ. फेसबुक यही चलेगा. It simply means that spirituality will become even more difficult. So what is the message for us? Do it now. Right now. Right now we have to do it. So this is what devotional success is going to look like. So I'll stop here now. भगवान के भोग धरने के बाद में भगवान की आरती होगी. We'll have गौर आरती and then we can have Mahaprasadam. So from now till the offering comes out, we can open the floor for discussions. And we welcome Shiniketan Prabhu, all the way from Auckland, Radha Giridhari ji Shuttle. So hopefully you can contribute and make us or show us how success looks like. So we open the floor for discussions. Everyone, ये हम लोग हमारा भक्तों का परिवार है. Everyone is a devotee here. So you can ask any question or any doubts you have in context of today's discussion or anything for that matter that will create spiritual value, create value for our devotional service. That's the kind of discussion is called Krishna conscious discussion. So we want to have open the floor for discussion like that. So Mahaprabhu, your question is being tossed and thrown and dissected, and so maybe you should start with some comments and some feedback. We let Mahaprabhu, he was the first one who asked the question.
Thank you, Prabhu. I think everyone talks about that we need to make our this life to be the last life. And we can only do that if we are spiritually successful.
Yes.
That was the main reason why I actually asked this question. So if I want to make it this life the last life, I'm not going to tell you the reason why I want to do it specially.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I need to do all those things. I need to come to that level of understanding so that I can become successful. Because I am someone who is not going to settle for anything less.
Yeah.
Even at my office, I have different standards. So that's when I actually start thinking about that why should we settle for less? There is no reason to settle for less. And if you want to make this life successful, spiritual success is very important. And definitely there are a lot of things that we can actually maybe personally see ourselves in terms of okay, we are in the right direction. Either we are getting the right dosage of spirituality or not. I think that's very important. Because when we look at our lives, one thing we mentioned about was the amount of time that we are willing to dedicate. That's very important. And I think some of us, or maybe most of us, or maybe I'm the only one who is not able to do it. And there are so many reasons. So I'm trying to understand what else can we do so that in the 24-hour period I am able to remember Krishna. And that's the entire point, like remembering Krishna. And I'm trying to understand how can I remember Krishna in whatever I do at work. How can I remember Krishna when I do fiscal policy? I'm trying to think that, but it is something. The other thing that came to my mind was when I went to India, I was very fortunate to be invited to a Brajvasi's house for dinner, I think. So one of the Maharaj was there, so I was invited, very fortunate. And when I saw the humble living there, actually the kind of living there, very humble, very nice, everything is actually centered around Krishna. Everything. They don't have big houses like my own house maybe. They don't have these high-class sofas or anything. But yet, they managed to save so many devotees in so wonderfully. I'm not sure whether Prabhu was even working or not, like with a professional job or not, but everything I could actually see that everything is arranged by Krishna.
By Krishna. Yeah.
I feel like it's a very different realization. Here we are driving big vehicles, feeling that
He-
he wants to drive vehicle.
he didn't have a sofa, but Krishna was sitting there.
Yeah. So,
When you are commenting that spiritual dose, so maybe just how medical professionals would say, when the doctor prescribes you a medicine dose, it is based on the BMI of the patient. Because if somebody is too big, maybe 1 ml injection would not make the difference of the medicine, would not make difference. Why is everyone looking at Indra Prabhu's side? So the medicine is given, calculated on the base of BMI, body mass index. So similarly, in the spirituality path, the path of bhakti, the dose of Krishna consciousness has to be calculated on BMI, body, mind and intellectual capacity. What is your bodily capacity? What is your state of the mind? And what is your intellect? Spiritual intellect. How does one develop spiritual intellect? By studying the Shastras. How do you assess the condition of the mind? How much it is attracted to Sangas sanjayate kama, kama krodha vijayate. Desires, material desires or spiritual desires. And of course by body, we can all know how much service we can do, how much we can sacrifice ourselves for others. So this is it is not a closed discussion per se that there is no definite answers that we can say, okay, the question is now answered. It's an open-ended question, and discussions will continue to evolve. This is just the first part of the discussion. Okay, Reshmi, you are raising your hand. Yes. I think the answer is already given in the verse of Srimad Bhagavatam itself. Is that you join as social, so these are social identities. But then you start seeing these things in relation to Krishna. Therefore, it is not giving these things up. Why would the gopis want to dress themselves beautifully in the Vedic traditional way? Because that is pleasing to Krishna. Why does a devotee dress themselves nicely with the tilak, with the kanti mala, with the kurta, with the dhoti? Nasi Shiniketan Prabhu, so nicely with the... It's a nice devotional. Because you have started seeing everything in relationship with Krishna, therefore you want to present yourself also as pleasing to Krishna. Because then you are doing everything pleasing to Krishna. I think sometimes what we start saying is that, because I am a liberated soul, therefore now the material things, the material desire. Sarvapadi vinir mukta, pure devotional service being, giving up all the upadis and everything. But Radharani still gets dressed on the altar like a devotee because she is getting dressed for the pleasure of Krishna. So here, from social to religious to spiritual, the conversation is about we identify where we are and where we need to get to. So, not that we jump from this category to this category and therefore the bigger circle of everything is bhakti. Everything else is small subsets within. But then we need to grow. That's the point, that's the conversation. Hope it makes sense, or am I answering you, or you still have a different, or you are looking for some answer, then I can carry out an induction or a deduction mathematics on it. What is it in your mind that you are looking for?
No, it's like sometimes when we see, like as soon as we start practicing, coming to this form, we dress up, as like Shiva, this and that. But then we start seeing others who have progressed, and we see that's not the case. Like those things that is important as soon as you enter is not important now as they have progressed. So that's what I'm trying to understand.
No. The question is that when we become devotees, so everyone puts on tilak. Like when you become a new devotee, you have tilak, your kanthi, you're nicely dressed with kurta and dhoti, and then when you are practicing Krishna consciousness and you move forward, then you actually see that the importance of these things are fading away. Absolutely. You get it? That's what I was also going to say. That what happens is that when we enter the door, day one we know, at least on the external level we know that this is what success looks like. This is what devotee looks like. Kantimala, nice, shaven head, nicely dressed sari, Kantimala, tilak, very nice like that. So this is the first external conception of what success looks like. Now the other part that I mentioned was the qualities, the lakshanam, the characteristics, the spiritual vision, and the transcendental position. So you are basically saying is when we enter into Krishna consciousness, we have taken on the external items, the tilak, the kanti, the dress of a devotee. But when you are not progressing through qualities, characteristics and spiritual vision and transcendental position, that's where these externals start dropping out. When you have put on tilak, when you first came to the temple, you saw all the devotees putting on tilak. You saw all the devotees wearing dhoti, so you started wearing dhoti. But complacency that Srinivas Prabhu is mentioning is that we have just thought that this is what devotee is. And therefore, we are not working on qualities, characteristics, the spiritual vision and transcendental position, and therefore these externals gradually over time start dying out. But you see our own spiritual master, or you see Srila Prabhupada, or you see so many other great devotees. Very nice example is Bir Krishna Maharaj himself. Bir Krishna Maharaj always says, the day I started chanting 16 rounds, to date I have not failed my 16 rounds. Even when I am very sick in the bed, I still chant my rounds lying down. So this is one example of how we come to the association of devotees, we pick up 16 rounds because everyone is chanting 16 rounds, this is what is required. We pick that up, but because we have not delved into qualities, characteristics, spiritual vision and transcendental position, then the externals. Just like you have a new cloth. I have a new kurta. Maybe after 100 washes, what will happen? It starts fading away. So let's not just depend on the color of the kurta. I think we need to color the soul. We need to color the mind. We need to color the intelligence with Krishna consciousness. Then, because when the whole idea is when you spiritually advance, the idea is you have started knowing that actually you are Krishna's. Your body is Krishna's. Your word is Krishna's. What does sannyas mean? Sannyas means completely surrendering body, mind and words to the service of Krishna. Therefore the Guru or the spiritual master or the sannyasi or fully surrendered devotees, what was Krishna telling Arjuna? Arjuna was saying, I am a Kshatriya, but I don't want to bloody my hands with, the blood of my own relatives, I don't want to be the cause of killing all the men and the women becoming exploited and Varna Shankar and all these things. These were all his arguments with Krishna. But Krishna was telling him, you must understand that you need to work for me. So Krishna speaks about Karma Yoga. He says, if you want to use your brains, you have to use your brains for me. You are a Kshatriya, you have to fight on my instruction. Therefore, the idea is complete surrender. So that's something. Again, the question that you have asked or this conversation that we have opened, you take it to the form that how devotional service or devotee success looks like. You are not progressing, then you have become stagnant. Devotional service is progressive. Idea is that you become surrendered. The flip of it is just like you are raising a small baby. As the baby grows up, then the baby starts eating on his own, walks on his own, then starts doing things on his own. Then he has his family of his own. So spiritually like that, when we become devotees, we must. What is the idea? The idea is developing detachment. Detachment from what? Detachment from material conditioning, not spiritual situation. Detachment from material conditioning. And the classic example that is given is, Prabhupada gives the examples of a woman who is always thinking of her parama. If a woman is having an extramarital affair, or anyone for that matter has an extramarital affair, what do? You behave in your situation in such a perfect manner that no one can suspect. But where is the mind? The mind is always thinking of the lover. So that's what it is. You develop your spiritual consciousness. Every opportunity you get to put tilak on your forehead is Krishna's lotus feet manifesting on your head. तिलक हम लोग लगाता है, तिलक क्या संबोधन करे? भगवान के चरण चिन्ह है. तो जब हम लोग के फेथ बढ़े हैं, हम लोग के समझ बढ़े कि तिलक भगवान के चरण है, तो अभी हम लोग मंदिर लगाए के तिलक आता है, बिहान हम लोग फैमिली में तिलक लगाए के जाएगा, परसों हम लोग पब्लिक में तिलक लगाएगा, और नरसों हम लोग डिसाइड करेगा कि बिना तिलक के हम एको टाइम नहीं लगेगा. एवरी टाइम यू टेक शावर, द वेरी फर्स्ट थिंग विद इन द वैष्णव एटिकेट इज दैट यू फर्स्ट पुट ऑन तिलक. दिस इज रियलाइजेशन. तो कहने का मतलब ये तो केवल मैं एक इलस्ट्रेटिव एग्जांपल दिया ना. अभी आपको शर्म लगता है बाहर काम पे तिलक पहनने का, तो मैं नहीं फोर्स नहीं कर रहा हूं आपको, बट मैं बोल रहा हूं कि हमारा कॉन्शियसनेस ऐसे डेवलप होना चाहिए. दैट्स हाउ यू नो दैट इट इज प्रोग्रेसिव. इट इज प्रोग्रेसिव. अभी हम लोग के सिचुएशन है, हम लोग टेम्पल आएगा, कंठीमाला पहनेगा, फिर हम लोग बाहर जाएगा तो 2 राउंड कर लेगा, फिर और बाहर कहीं जाएगा तो उतार के रख देगा. तो बट जब हम लोग रियलाइज करेगा कि नो, दिस इज प्रोटेक्शन, दिस इज द कवचा, डेथ कैन कम एनी टाइम. If death comes to me when I had just taken it off and put it here and went shopping, death comes on the way, then I am offerable to Krishna all the time, and Krishna doesn't accept an offering without tulsi. So you can't be like, I'm offerable now, tomorrow I'm unofferable, then following day I'm offerable, then I'm unofferable for a week. Not like that. दिस इज नॉलेज. इसी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. जब हम इसको कहते हैं रियलाइजेशन, व्हेन यू स्टार्ट रियलाइजिंग ऑल दिस थिंग, दिस इज अगेन क्वालिटीज, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक, स्पिरिचुअल विजन. व्हेन यू हैव स्टार्ट हैविंग स्पिरिचुअल विजन, देन दिस इज द डायरेक्शन यू गो. ओके, Any other questions? Sriniketan Prabhu, you want to say something? Because you are here, so we want to take advantage of you.
The very first day I came in contact with the devotees, the very first day I came to the temple, I liked it so much. I want to experience it every day. Because that feeling was such a wonderful feeling. You know, seeing the devotees, appreciating them, every single child wearing the tila, paying obeisances to them. Go down to the temple, floor, and you felt so wonderful. You took prasadam for the first time. I can still remember and relish the prasadam I took for the very first time in Nasil Center. It was some bugri and halwa. I never had tasted something like that before. And I want to relish it in every morsel of my prasadam every day. So that reminds me of one of the lectures that I heard of my Guru Maharaj. He said, "What are you calling yourself a devotee? You're wearing tilak, you're wearing dhoti and kurta, you think you're a devotee? You live a devotional life. It's not an external only, you have to live that. Every day, this Prabhu says, if you know the significance of doing this, you have to live it." And the other point is that living means, Gurudev says, you should be very conscious of what are you, like, in general professional word, they say quality means you are at the highest, you perform it at the highest level even when somebody is not watching you. That's a quality. If someone is not watching you and still behaving at the highest level, a high standard,
Yes.
it's not that someone is watching me then I should behave like this. Even in your own house, in your own room, in your own environment, you behave like a devotee. That means you should perform your sadhana very strictly. Wake up for Mangalarti, attend Mangalarti, wherever you go. You do all your morning prayers, even if no one is watching you. You go down, you go pay obeisances to your Guru, you chant to 16 rounds, you take prasadam, gopar and everything, you do Tulsi Puja, you do your Guru Puja, you do all the prayers. That is your sadhana, and that is the minimum beginning of your
Devotional service, exactly.
If you can't do that, if you're not there, that means you still aspire to come to that level.
Yeah.
And that is, I'm just speaking what Gurudev has said.
Yes.
And you take it to your heart like this and you do it.
Yeah.
If you can't do it, take shelter of a devotee who can help you to do that.
Yeah.
So that is, I'm not shouting, trying to get this noise. So, I think Mataji, your question is very, actually it's a wonderful question. I want to live that life that I wanted, that I've had experience like 8 years back. The very life that when I entered the temple, when the very first time I saw the devotees, when I first interacted with them, when I first took the prasadam, you take prasadam today, you relish that in that same manner, in the same mood. Your heart, we all doing this. It may seem simple, it may seem external, but ask your heart whether are you relishing that Krishna consciousness at all.
Yeah.
And devotional service actually at a higher level is loving. If you're not loving devotional service, then you haven't reached there.
Yeah.
That's what Prabhupada calls it. University says in Bhagavad, all the books, loving
Devotional service, exactly.
So that's very important. So one of the success points should be, have you come to the level of that loving the devotional service? Whatever service you're doing, you're making mala, you're going to the temple, you're paying obeisances, that is also devotion. Are you chanting lovingly?
Yeah.
So loving part is one of the barometers. Have you developed love for your service? When you start loving, or start to develop that love, that is when you have typically gone to the part of success.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just pushing a little to what your question was. So I'm also in the same path of trying to realize them and trying to see.
This is spiritual fiscal policy.
So, like as you say, it's like fiscal policies. So that's your Swadharma, but you think that Swadharma for service of Krishna.
For service of Krishna, yes, exactly.
So it's nothing, you don't actually, a devotee doesn't separate this Swadharma, his prescribed duties away from devotional service.
Yeah.
He considers that some part of it will be contributed to devotional service. And do it lovingly. That's what Krishna says to Arjuna. You do it for me, fighting is the Swadharma. You do it for me, lovingly.
Yeah.
And he does it.
Yeah. I think my greatest takeaway from Sriniketan Prabhu's words is those words of Srila Gurudev where he said that, real devotional service is what you are doing when no one is watching upon you. I think, doing devotional service with the devotees is easy. But really when no one is watching, and again, that's again where like, you may be a university student, you may be living in the hostel, but there is no restriction that you cannot chant the Guru Astakam, you can't do the Tulsi prayers, you might not be able to offer the Aarti, but reciting of the prayers, reciting of the Shishtastakam, the nursing of prayers, the reading of the Bhagavatam, one verse every day, and that is real Krishna consciousness. Then you can know that you have started real Krishna consciousness. That when you are doing it, when no one. And that words, reminds me of, I don't know, many of you may know, but Sriniketan Prabhu might know, and few others may know. Prahladananda Swami Maharaj. He is the minister for sannyas in our ISKCON. He is Prabhupada disciple. He must be around, 76, 80 years old. Even today, he takes a book and a bag and goes for Sankirtan. In Australia, he travels in Australia quite a bit, so I know in Perth and other places. It doesn't have to be a Sankirtan party. It doesn't have to be. I remember one time Sankarshan Prabhu came here, Sankarshan Prabhu and Vishnupriya Mataji. So, on a Saturday, he took his piano, keyboard, and he went and sat before we had a Hare Krishna restaurant in Cumming Street. Him and his wife, he just played the keyboard and chanted Hare Krishna, and his wife played Kartav. And he chanted for 2 hours, like that. And that was his Harinam Sankirtan. So it's really what you can do when no one is watching. I think this time also Veer Krishna Maharaj said, everyone wants to do some service. And maybe, I should take this opportunity to motivate you, inspire you. I'm told, in Suva, there are only 3 families who come to serve the deities. Every other slot is simply done by the 4-5 resident devotees. I was completely shocked. I thought so many devotees are coming to do their spots on the, Prabhupada said, the whole community should worship, also the committee, the committee came out of my mouth. The community should worship the deities. Each slot, one dressing, one offering, one arti, something like that. Then everything works out very well. But Veer Krishna Maharaj was saying, everyone wants to do some service, but I would like to do the arti on a Sunday feast. I want to do the offering on the Sunday feast. I want to do the dressing of the deities on Sunday, because the public will be coming and will say, wow, who did it? So Krishna's gone the back. Who did it? Who cooked the Sunday feast? Arey Baba, the prasadam, mercy came by Krishna, not by anyone else. So we tend to forget. So I think it's a very punching point, Sriniketan Prabhu said. Doing all those things continuously and rigidly and firmly with conviction when even no one is seeing. It's a very valid point. Yes, Stanjali Mataji.
After reading the Katha today, this is what I guess. That from my experience also, when you do it before, we are basically starting up from social level. But as we learn about how things are done and why they are done like that, generally through Katha and reading programs and also by reading, so we develop that Sambandh Gyan.
Yeah.
We learn why we need to do this, why we get to practice, why we need to
Yeah.
do that, why everything is done like this. So once we get that Sambandh Gyan, basically from knowledge, acquiring knowledge, to reading what is also social, then we can come to the spiritual level.
Yeah.
And if we don't get that Sambandh Gyan, then we will be doing things. It's like a ritualistic book.
Yes. Then the most you can progress is just become religious. Religion is basically rituals.
If we don't do that Sambandh Gyan, then when we are doing it ritualistic, then we can also fail away with the
Absolutely correct. And then when we come to the temple, much more very quick progression from social and religious levels is when we get to associate with exemplary devotees. That is why exemplary devotees in the communities is very, very important. Prabhupada was an exemplary devotee. That's how the whole movement got established. Because all the devotees who joined, all the people who came, they came for Swamiji's prasad, or they came for Swamiji's kirtan or whatever, but they saw Swamiji chanting his rounds, reading, writing the books and yet reading the books as well, cooking the prasadam and saving the prasadam and cleaning everything. Prabhupada did everything. So Prabhupada just set the whole example. So that's why you can say the Hare Krishna explosion will happen when the devotees are exemplary. The explosion will happen when the devotees are exemplary. So we should all take responsibility that I am Prabhupada's representative, and therefore it's my responsibility to be exemplary. So in whatever way, one thing, two thing, three thing, four thing, some of the devotees may be exemplary in many things, but that's fine. If we can be exemplary just in chanting, so be it. So we do one thing. Okay, so it's 6:30 now. Let's do Gaur Aarti and then we will have Mahaprasada. Okay, and I look forward. Now this is a continuous thing. If we can continue, and the continuity you'll grasp it better if you just continue to participate in the session. So tomorrow morning again the seminar class will be like 6 after Gurupur, 6 to 7. It's a Saturday. Then Sunday we will have 7 to 9 2-hour session. And then Monday is picnic. So we have one tomorrow and one on Sunday. 2 more sessions. Same conversation that we are going to carry forward. How does devotional service and devotee success look like? Tomorrow afternoon as well. Yes, at Nilesh Prabhu's place. We're having the program in Mulumolo Street in Nakasi. So yeah, there's one more session. So there's 3 more sessions left. So Nilesh Prabhu's place also, we are going to continue the same conversation. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maybe we can hear Sriniketan Prabhu's voice. Hare Krishna.
Jaya
Divine grace. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON Community Furniture Srila Prabhupada ki. ISKCON Guru Vrinda ki. Shri Guru Parampara ki. Gangamai Jamnamai ki. Bhakti Devi Maharani ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Prem Sakasi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Shri Gauritai Bhagavan ki. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Bhakta Hanuman ki. Shri Radha Krishna Gopina Shyam Sundar Raghunji Govardhan ki. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki. Shri Krishna Nam Sankirtan ki. Patita Pavan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki. Hidaya Gapremanande. All glories assemble devotees. All glories assemble devotees. All glories assemble devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
जय प्रभुपाद महाराज की जय प्रभुपाद की जय बहुत धन्यवाद
हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जगन्नाथ बलदेव महारानी की हरे कृष्णा। once again thank you all very much.